I still remember the exact second my finger touched that coin. My heart gave one quick jump, like it knew something I didn't yet. I don't know the exact day. I just remember my friend was right beside me. Every week or two we walked to the old shop. The sign on the door had almost disappeared. Only faint gray letters remained. The paint peeled off in curly strips. When we pushed the door open, the wooden floor made a long, tired creak. Inside, the smell always welcomed us. Sweet lemon drops mixed with old dust and yellowed book pages. It felt like coming home to a place we didn't own. The old man sat quietly on his tall stool behind the counter. He was very old. His hair was thin and white, like frost on branches in winter. His skin was soft paper, lined with tiny cracks. But his eyes were clear and kind. When he smiled, they curved gently, warm like the sunlight on the counter. He never stood up fast. He never asked who we were or what we wanted. He just looked up slowly from his thick old book. He gave a small nod. Then his spotted hand pushed the glass candy jar toward us. "Take whichever you like," he said softly, almost like a whisper. He never said anything more. He never said, "Be careful." He simply believed we would. I usually took 2 lemon drops. They tasted sharp and sweet. My friend always took only 1. He held it between his fingers, turned it once, smelled it slowly. It looked like that tiny candy brought back a memory from very long ago. A memory I was too young to understand. We never paid. He never counted. Sometimes we straightened a crooked picture, or picked up a tiny thread from the floor. He always smiled and said quietly, "Good boys." The shop was full of strange little things. They stood in gentle disorder. Front shelves had old teapots with chips and broken porcelain. Middle shelves held surprises: tin soldiers missing an arm, watches stopped forever at odd times, glass bottles full of bright-colored sand, rusty keys that opened nothing, old radios that stayed silent. We could stand in front of a single shelf for 10 or 15 minutes. We turned our heads slowly, noticing details. We didn't want to buy. We just wanted to feel the quiet stories hidden in those forgotten objects. The old man never told us to hurry or leave. Sometimes he would gently move a small jar a bit closer to us. Sometimes he would reach over to adjust a tilted trinket. Each movement was slow, careful, like he trusted us to touch the world without breaking it. That afternoon, golden light came through the high window at the back. Dust danced in the beam like tiny sparks. I was looking closely at an old wooden box. My finger traced its edge. Then I saw it, a small coin wedged in the narrow space between the box and the wall. It was dull and old. Its edges had turned green with time, clearly forgotten for years. I crouched down slowly. I nudged it gently with my fingertip. A little dust fell like fine snow. I blew it away. I held the coin up in the light. "Look," I whispered. My friend leaned in close. His eyes narrowed slightly. His fingers moved once on the edge of his shorts, like he almost wanted to touch it, but stopped. Maybe someone dropped it years ago, I said. He nodded slowly. Maybe. I turned it over in my fingers. No date, no picture, no name, nothing to show who it belonged to. Probably it belongs to nobody now, I said. It's been waiting there forever. He stayed quiet. He just watched the light touch the coin's edge. The old man glanced toward the back of the shop. His eyes moved softly over us. Not on the coin, not on my hand, just a gentle look, the same he always gave when we lingered too long. It said, "It's okay. Keep looking." Then he returned to his book. I closed my hand around the coin. It felt cool against my skin, a little heavier than a normal coin, and a little thrilling, too like holding a secret the shop had kept for years. We walked slowly to the other shelves, but my fingers stayed closed tight. That small extra weight stayed with me. We went back to the shop the next afternoon. The door creaked as we pushed it open. The smell of lemon drops and old books hit us first. The old man sat on his tall stool, eyes gentle as always. He nodded slightly when he saw us and pushed the candy jar closer. I picked one lemon drop. He didn't take any. We walked slowly to the back. Sunlight streamed in through the high window, dust dancing in thin golden beams. The narrow gap where the coin had been was empty now. I felt it in my pocket. My fingers pressed around it and my breathing got faster. It wasn't just any coin. It mattered, comma. Then I heard him, not the old man, someone else, a regular customer, talking quietly. The old man said, "That coin, it was my son's first. He used to hide little things here. This one, he never came back for." My heart skipped. I crouched behind a shelf. He leaned close, eyes wide. We listened, silent, letting the words sink in. The coin wasn't nobody's. It belonged to someone's memory. I whispered, "We should put it back." He shook his head slightly, voice low. "But no one knows we took it. We could just leave it." I looked at him. His fingers twitched at his side. He glanced around nervously, face a little hot. Like being discovered would make him a thief. We stayed quiet for a moment, thinking. I touched the coin in my pocket. It pressed cold against my skin, and my stomach tightened. I crouched down slowly and placed it back. In the narrow space between the wooden box and the wall, he watched, tense, still glancing at the front. When it was back, he whispered, "It's back now." I nodded. "Yeah, it's back." We exchanged a glance, small nods. The coin was returned. My chest felt lighter, but I noticed my shoulders still carried a little stiffness, the mix of relief, guilt, and understanding. I picked up a lemon drop and popped it in my mouth. He stayed quiet, still watching the coin, still uneasy, but calmer. We walked toward the front slowly, letting the shop feel normal again. The door creaked behind us as we left. Outside, the sunlight was warm. Inside me, something had shifted. Some things seem like they belong to nobody. But if you look closer, you realize they carry someone's heart. Even if no one saw, I felt different inside. Like I grew a little taller,